Yo, what is going on, guys? SCJ here, back with another video, and this is a script that I started to write at the beginning of the 2020 to 21 season, but in this video I want to talk about a way I've felt for a year or two now, and that's that Chris Paul truly doesn't get the respect he deserves from some fans, and hell, you can even see it from a small number of player, front office executives, or owners around the league. Anyway though, guys, if you are new to the channel, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell down below. So Chris Paul is no doubt one of the active players we have in the league currently who will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You probably know the reason why I'm making this video just from the title, but before I get into that, the first thing I gotta mention is that not only is the man a tremendous scorer, shooter, team player, and leader both on the floor and off the floor, but Paul has a chance to be just the third player to ever finish top 5 all time in both assists and steals, and depending on just how many more seasons he plays, there's a chance he can finish in not just the top 5, but top 3 next to the other two guys that he would be next to, and those two men would be Hall of Famers and legends John Stockton and Jason Kidd. That's very great company to be in, to say the least. Even after the impressive stat or things I named about Paul, we haven't even gotten into mentioning his accomplishments or his resume. Paul is a 10-time All-Star, 4-time leader in assists, 6-time lead leaguer in steals, 9 inclusions on the All-NBA team or list, as well as 9 inclusions on the All-Defensive team or list, 2013 All-Star Game MVP, 2006 All-Rookie team, as well as 2006 NBA Rookie of the Year. That is one of the most impressive resumes in NBA history, so when I see people not taking or talking highly enough on CP3, not giving the man any credit or just clowning him, it really shows you just how much they don't know about Chris Paul, his legacy, or maybe even basketball and the NBA in general. This man has done nothing but play efficiently and effectively the last 4 seasons, but he's sadly had tremendously bad luck and has found himself in the wrong situation in each of those seasons. However, even after being traded 3 times in the previous 3.5 years, he still made things work no matter where he got sent off to. After the Clippers essentially fell apart during their 2017 first-round series to the Jazz, losing in 7 games and losing Game 7 by 13 points after holding a 2-1 lead in the series after Game 3, then losing both Games 4 and 5, the Clippers decided it would be best to move in a different direction from their big 3 of the Lob City-era Clippers. James Harden was also commanding the Rockets to give him some more help after the playoff series loss to the Spurs that the Rockets suffered, and they lost the final game, Game 6, by a score of 114 to 75. Harden still gets criticized for quote-unquote not showing up in that Game 6 against San Antonio. This led to both teams coming to an agreement on a trade for Paul, as one team wanted to get rid of him and one team had their star player breathing down their neck to give him more help. Paul played very well with the Rockets, and the Harden-Paul duo was surprisingly a great one, at least to me that was. So great that they finished first in the West and better than the new super team that was the Golden State Warriors. For the first time in Chris Paul's career, he finally made it to the conference finals, and the Rockets would meet that Warriors super team in an extremely entertaining Western Conference Finals series. That series was very back and forth and very entertaining. The Warriors blew out the Rockets in Game 1, but in Game 2, Houston would return the favor. The Rockets would take a commanding 3-2 lead over the Warriors, but Chris Paul suffered a season-ending injury in Game 5 of that series, and the Warriors would win both Game 6 and Game 7 and head to the 2017 NBA Finals after the Rockets missed 27 straight threes and choked away their lead in Game 7. The following season, the Rockets pairing would never get back to the rhythm that they had that previous season, and they would have Harden demand Daryl Morey to trade Paul away and also request to replace him with his old teammate from Oklahoma City, Russell Westbrook, whether it was in the same trade or not. Luckily for the Rockets, the Thunder were looking to move on from their duo or pairing of Westbrook and Paul George and were interested in Chris Paul as well. So on July 16, 2019, the Houston Rockets came to an agreement on a trade including both Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. It felt like Chris Paul got summoned off to a no man's land to be later killed. ESPN came out with a stat claiming the Thunder only had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. But like mentioned before, and in what has become typical CP3 fashion, Paul and the Thunder would grab the 5th seed in the Western Conference, meaning that of course they made the playoffs. CP3 once again was the perfect piece and leader to help his team succeed. After losing to his former team, the Houston Rockets, in the first round of the 2020 playoffs, the Thunder made it clear they were interested in a total rebuild rather than just retooling and having CP3 lead the team and help them develop their young players. And of course, one of the main reasons was his extremely large contract that they'd have to be paying. Oklahoma City GM Sam Presti began to talk with teams and try to find a new home for Paul, and there was one team that was not only very interested in acquiring Paul, but also was willing to give up a package that intrigued Sam Presti, and that team was, of course, the Phoenix Suns. Trade talks would begin between Presti and Suns GM James Jones, and less than 24 hours later, Paul would be on his way to Phoenix, Arizona, and the two teams came to an agreement on a trade that would send Paul to the Suns along with Thunder teammate Abdul Nader for a trade package which included 4 players and a 2020 first-round draft pick. The Phoenix Suns showed a lot of promise last season in the NBA bubble as they would go 8-0 at Disney World's Wide World of Sports, yet unfortunately still missed the 2020 playoffs. The Suns made some nice additions to their roster prior to entering the bubble last season, including most notably acquiring guard Cameron Payne, who played very good for them. They still, of course, wanted to make another move to help them take that next step as a team, and that move would be for trading for veteran Chris Paul. After the start of the season the Suns have had this year, it's safe to say that trade has indeed helped them take another step forward as a team. This season, the Phoenix Suns currently have a record of 5-1, with their only loss coming on the first game of a back-to-back homestand with the Sacramento Kings, who have also played decent or solid basketball thus far, currently holding a record of 3-2 and sitting at 6th place in the tough Western Conference. Not only have the Suns won 5 of their first 6 contests, they also sit at first place in the Western Conference, as well as holding the best record in the National Basketball Association. Looking at the team statistically, in terms of individual players per game numbers, the team's 3 best players, Ayton, Booker, and Paul, are all averaging less points per game than they were averaging last season. But the Suns are getting very spread out, scoring from their entire roster, with 6 players averaging over 13.5 points, or 8 players scoring over 7.5 points per game, if you'd like to include their 8 primary rotational players. It's not about the offense or offensive numbers for the Suns so far this season, however. It has been more to do with just how great they've been defensively thus far. The Suns are currently averaging the least amount of points allowed by their opponents, with an extremely impressive 98.7 points allowed per game. They are also allowing the least amount of assists, 3rd lowest field goal percentage, as well as the least amount of 3-pointers by their opponents per game out of any team in the league thus far. In a league where teams have become extremely reliant on the 3-point shot and high scoring now, those are impressive and important numbers for this team. As I mentioned earlier, Chris Paul has been on the all-defensive team during 9 of his 15 seasons in the league and led the league in steals 6 times thus far in his career, so it's safe to say adding him to a team that already has some great defensive players such as DeAndre Ayton has really helped the team and made a big difference. In terms of CP3 stats, as mentioned before, him, Ayton, and Booker's points per game have decreased from last season. However, Paul is attempting a career low in field goals attempted per game, as well as minutes per game, which makes sense, especially with his age now sitting at 35 years old. However, when you have a talented young team and a deadly shooter and scorer in Suns star Devin Booker, it's more about affecting the game in other ways and helping players such as him out, and Paul has done that not only with his defense, but also with his passing as well. Paul is currently averaging the most assists per game since his final season with the Clippers in the 16-17 season, and the 4th most assists per 36 minutes that he's averaged in his career. Paul's 13.2 points are also importantly just fine for this Suns team, and a 0.2 improvement from last year's starter Ricky Rubio's numbers for the Suns last season. The Phoenix Suns really do look very good through their first 6 games thus far this season, and once again, for the 4th time in 5 seasons, CP3 has very well proven that he may very well fit on any team he plays for, and very well might be the most perfect puzzle piece for any team, not only in the league currently, but maybe arguably all time. It's time more people and or casual fans start giving Paul more credit and the credit he truly deserves. It seems like more fans are starting to realize just how important Chris Paul is and how great of a fit he can be on any team after the Suns' 5-1 start, but the future first ballot Hall of Famer still deserves more respect and credit than he's gotten, so far, and if you didn't buy into it before, you better realize now that the man truly is the perfect puzzle piece that many teams around the league are truly missing. I want to know down below in the comment section what you guys think about Chris Paul and or the Suns this season, or just anything we were talking about in this video today. Let me know down below. If you like this video though, then please give it a like as it helps out a lot. And if you're new to the channel and or want to see more NBA content or breakdowns such as this video or any of my other ones, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you stay up to date with all my newest content. Anyway though guys, I'm SCJ and I am out. Peace.